Thanks for being here in Hoi An, Julian, and for setting up here. Can you tell us about 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀's story and how this came about?
It's a real pleasure to be here in Hoi An. It's a beautiful town, and we're really very pleased to be opening the 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 Center here. 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 was inspired by my mother, actually. She was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. She was living in Europe, and she had a silent cancer, ovarian cancer. And unfortunately, by the time she got the symptoms, she was late stage. And it was during the course of my looking for scientific solutions to her condition beyond mainstream medicine, such as chemotherapy and radiation and surgery, that I discovered that there were a lot of advances in medicine which were not getting commercialized, and a lot of things which I felt should be brought into mainstream medicine. So that was the impetus for setting up 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 Group. What I did from the beginning was bring together an advisory board of top scientists and doctors from university hospitals around the world. And we put together protocols which we ultimately use now in the clinics. The initial clinic that we set up was an integrative oncology clinic for cancer patients, but fast forward 15 years and we now have a global base of clinics and product manufacturing as well as research and development.
What is 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀's concept? How are you different from others in this fascinating new space?
Thank you. Well, I think we need to differentiate 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 Group from mainstream healthcare. I think there's a few differences that we could point out. What we prefer to do at 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 is to try and identify the disease before it takes place. So we're looking at more proactive healthcare rather than reactive healthcare. So I think most people intuitively think that that's going to be more advantageous, better to basically identify the disease before it takes hold. So that's the market that we're looking at. So people who want to have preventative regenerative healthcare. One of the other main differences between 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 Group and mainstream healthcare is the customer at the center of the experience. If you think about it, healthcare is one of the only industries where the patient is not at the center. It tends to be the doctor who is the focal point, and the patients are sitting in the waiting room for an hour or so waiting for the doctor to see them, and maybe he'll only or she'll only be able to see them for 5 or 6 minutes because they're extremely busy. So with 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀, we focus on the customer and we go to them and we look at them as an individual. That leads into the final point of differentiation, which is personalization, or what we call precision medicine. All of our biochemistries are different, everyone is unique, and mainstream medicine tends to treat people the same. They have the same tablets and the same drugs which they offer all the patients with disease. It's not differentiated. At 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀, what we do is analyze the patient's blood works, their genetics, their epigenetics, and then we look at them as individuals and tailor-make the treatment programs and protocols to them as an individual.
Can you share your experience in integrative medicine?
Yeah, so integrative medicine is basically taking the best interventions and combining them to get the best results, the optimal results for the patient. With mainstream medicine, doctors are kind of restricted to prescribe only approved pharmaceutical drugs, which tend to be synthetic. Pharmaceutical companies play a huge role in the medical industry, and of course they want to make profits, and so they're interested in things which they can patent and which are very lucrative when it comes to dispensing to patients. At 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀, we're sort of agnostic. As long as a substance, whether it's natural or synthetic, as long as it's effective, we will use that in combination. So we are evidence-based, so everything we do is scientifically researched. We're very rigorous on our research that we do on all the products that we use. But just because a substance is natural, it doesn't mean that it won't be as effective or even better sometimes compared to a patented pharmaceutical drug. For example, aspirin is originally from a tree bark. It's a natural substance which was found to have anti-inflammatory effects. And so just because it's a naturally derived substance, it doesn't mean that it's not effective. So we combine a lot of evidence-based products and evidence-based treatments, And as far as possible, we try and be natural so that there's less side effects and less problems for the patients afterwards.
Maybe, Julian, you could tell us a little bit about life extension and how that's been integrated into the future?
Well, what we know is that about 80% of people die from preventable disease. So the first step with customers that we have are identifying early stages of disease and then coming up with programs and protocols which will reverse and stop those diseases taking hold. So that's the most important thing. After that, we look at life extension. So anti-aging and longevity medicine is very topical at the moment, and people all around the world are talking about it. So we have scientific tests which can actually identify an individual's biological age as opposed to their chronological age. So I may be 60 years old, but my biological age may be 40 years old. Or if I'm in ill health or not looking after myself, my biological age might be older than 60. So everyone is unique. So the first thing we do is we test using an amazing epigenetic test which was developed by Vienna University in conjunction with 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐈𝐓𝐀 Healthcare Group, and we can come up with an accurate reading of a person's biological age. That's then the benchmark we work on, and over the next 6 to 12 months we put the patient on programs which will actually reverse their biological age. On average, we reverse the biological age by 15 to 20% within 6 to 9 months, which is pretty dramatic. And so we're not talking about superficial anti-aging, such as aesthetic doctors may give a patient, such as Botox fillers and laser work. What we're looking at is internal biological aging. There's a thing called longevity escape velocity, and this is the concept that innovation in medicine and healthcare is progressing at such a rate, and with artificial intelligence now accelerating innovation, we believe that if we can extend healthy life by 10 to 20 years, by that time there'll be so many advances that life can be extended even further. And so eventually the concept is that in theory we could extend healthy life up to 150 to 200 years, provided people have access to these types of early stage preventative interventions and regenerative medicine. So there are amazing breakthroughs coming in the industry, and we're keeping very much in touch with all of those breakthroughs and innovations. And as soon as we're able to commercialize them, we'll bring them to our customers through the clinics.
Thank you, Julian. I appreciate you bringing this much needed and progressive approach to Central Vietnam. We look forward to many successes with you in the future. Thank you again.